Alright, to schedule your restic backups using systemd, you'll need both restic on your system as well as systemd. I'm doing this on a Ubuntu virtual machine where systemd is already on it by default, and restic is easily installed using apt. For this demonstration, I'm backing up my documents folder to a repository which is located in backup/restic. So I can backup documents to a repository in backup/restic. So this all works. I'm going to assume you have the same, so a repository somewhere and the ability to create a backup there. So the challenge now is to automatically execute this command at certain points in time using systemd. So for this, we'll need two things. Systemd uses services and timers. The timer activates the service at certain points in time, and the service actually contains this command which I just ran manually in the command line. Once we have set up both the timer and the service, the backup will be done automatically. So if you're going to set up custom timers and services, we'll need to do that in the config folder. By default, systemd looks there for new services and timers. By default, the config folder is located in your home directory, so that will be /.config. If you go there, you'll see that currently there's no systemd folder there, so we'll create that. But in the systemd folder, we'll make a folder called user, and that's where our service file and timer file will be. So we'll start with the service file. You can give this any name, but I will name it restic.service. We now have a very basic systemd service file. We have two sections, unit and service. In the unit, we put a very simple description, and in the service is where the actual important stuff happens. So we start off with the type. The default is simple. We make it one shot. There's more documentation available of the different types if you want to, but for this case, a one shot is a good choice. We put in the environment, where we can specify environment variables. For now, I only put in restic password and gave it the value test, which is the password in this case. Then you could also do environment file or environment file and give a path to a file. Restic has restic password as an option, but you can also do restic password command. There are lots of different options to save your password, but for this demonstration, I just put it here. Might not be the best choice, but for this demonstration, it works. So now the exec start. Here we give the shell command we just put in the terminal by hand. So this is a bash command, restic backup, and here we wrote the path to the folder we want to backup and the path to the repository. The nice thing about systemd is that we can run this service without a timer to check if it works. So to do this, to start the service, just to see if we didn't make any mistakes, we first need to reload the daemon, so restic actually knows about the existence of the service. We can do that by typing reload daemon or daemon reload. So now restic knows about the service and we can start it. So restic service, and now it ran supposedly. The nice thing about systemd is that it also has a journal where we can check if it actually ran. So we look for the restic service in the journal. Here we see lots of attempts by me, but the last one is the most important one, because this is what the one we just ran. So it's 17:07, and that's also the current time, or almost the current time. That gives us some assurance that the restic service works. So that's the first part. We now have our restic service set up, and we now want to set up our timer. So this is very similar. We'll create another file in the same directory, and we give it the same name except for the extension, which will be timer. The nice thing about giving it the same name is that systemd automatically knows that this timer is related to the service, so we don't have to explicitly name the service which the timer should activate. Okay, so here we have our timer file. Again, we have a unit section, but now we, instead of the service section, have a timer section and an additional install section. So the unit section is the same, we give a description, and in the timer section we can specify when the timer should run. And for now I set weekly as a timer option. You can also do specific times or specific days, so lots of options here. Persistent is true means that it even if at this point, so on a Monday for example, the timer didn't run, but you start your computer on a Tuesday, it will still run. The last section is the install section, and here we link this timer to timers.target, which is a default target you can use, so the timer automatically starts at the boot together with all other timers. So that's it. We now have the restic timer as well as the restic service, and the only thing left is to reload the daemon and enable it all. So again, we're going to do systemctl user daemon reload, and now we can do start restic.timer. So if we only do start, it will only start during this session, so we also should enable it so it always starts. And to check if this is all working, this is all correct, we can do status. So here we see that it's active, we just started it. It triggers on a Monday during midnight, so that's in 1 day, and it triggers the restic service, which we already tested by hand just now. So we're not going to wait till Monday, so I'll quickly edit it. So edit the timer file so it will run in a minute. Okay, so now we have a timer which runs out in 1 minute, and we're just going to wait for that and see if it actually works. Okay, so it's 17:17 and we expect the timer to have activated the service. We can confirm this by checking the journal again. And here we see that at 17:17 local restic backup was made. Also small detail, here we can see the description of our service, which is a nice detail. Okay, so we've confirmed that the timer works and the servers work correctly. So that's it, that's the basic setup.